What's up, guys? This time around, we have our hands on something pretty cool. We were able to find at our local Walmart the brand new DC Multiverse McFarlane toy line Cyborg figure. I'm excited. Let's get into it. Alright, in this video, we're going to go over three topics: presentation, articulation, and whether or not this figure is something that you want to pick up or pass on. Let's start with presentation. Here we have our standard DC Multiverse McFarlane toy line box with the window on the front, showing us the figure and the accessories that he comes with. Here on the bottom, we have the DC Multiverse logo and the name of the figure below that, Cyborg. Up here in the right-hand corner, we have 12 plus, and above that, we have the McFarlane Toys logo. Here on the upper left-hand corner, it says we have 22 moving parts with this figure. Here's the side of the box with the DC Multiverse logo, Cyborg, and DC Rebirth underneath his name. Here on the back, we have some epic looking artwork with Cyborg using his blaster. Really cool looking stuff going on there. Here's the other side of the box. More of the same with the logo and the name. And here's the bottom of the box with the barcode, if any of you guys are interested in that. I'm pretty excited to get this guy out of his box. I think we all have been waiting for a much better representation of the Cyborg figure, and I think this might just be that. Let's open him up. Now that we have the figure out of the box, as we get a 360 view of him, let's talk about him for a minute. This figure's detail is absolutely next level. This was what I was hoping for when I heard that McFarlane was releasing a new Cyborg figure, and for me, it's all about that head sculpt. And once we get a closer look, which we will in a little bit, you guys will see what I mean. This figure's head sculpt is amazing. The detail throughout the body on this figure is exactly what I was hoping it would be. We have received a couple of other Cyborg figures, but they just weren't my speed. We got the movie accurate Cyborg figure, and then we got a Build-A-Figure, which was very hard to get your hands on, especially the Flash figure. He was so sought after, and if you did find him, you better buy him, because if not, you walk away, you were going to miss out on that figure for sure. But it's awesome to see that we have a really good representation here of what Cyborg should look like. We all know a little bit about Victor Stone, aka Cyborg. We know that he was in a horrible accident. He was at one point a very big football star, and his father did experiments on him to try to save his life, which went horribly wrong, but in the end delivered us with Cyborg, which is an absolute BA figure. Before we get an up-close look at this figure, let's look at the accessories that he came with. Okay, up first for the accessories, he came with a black DC peg stand, which at this point you guys know is customary with all Todd McFarlane releases. The only time you get a stand that looks a little bit different is if you get a collector's edition, and the difference is that the stamp here is a metallic silver as opposed to the black that blends in. Once you've seen one of these pucks, you've pretty much seen them all. Now let's take a look at the only accessory that he really came with. He came with a transformed blaster for his arm. Even though this is the only accessory he came with, it is still pretty cool because the detail here is absolutely awesome. They did a really good job on the paint for this gun. It's pretty neat. And of course, we have to show you guys the card that he came with. Very familiar artwork here, as it is the same artwork that is on the back of the box. Here's the back of the card, the data file on Victor Stone. If you guys would like to pause the video now, get a quick backstory on him. That is it for the accessories that he came with. Before we go any further, I just would like to say, if you guys are liking the content, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button and become a part of the Collecta King family. And don't be afraid to turn on those bell notifications so you can get notified every time we upload new content. And smash that like button for me and leave a comment down below and let me know if this figure is something you are excited about or that you're going to pass on. Doing all these things greatly helps out the channel. Thank you. Now that we have the figure back in front of us, as promised, let's get that up close look at him. Starting with the head sculpt, and as I said earlier in the video, that is an awesome looking head sculpt. It's a great representation of Victor Stone as far as I'm concerned. You guys might disagree, and if you do, put it in the comments down below. Great texture here in the hair. Awesome lines on the robotic part of the skull here. Great work done throughout the chest and torso area and through the arms. Great detail here. The hands, very nicely detailed. It does appear to me that some of these parts might be reused from old figures, but that's okay because it works. It's a very solid looking Cyborg figure. I'm very happy to have this in my collection now. That concludes the presentation portion of this video, and it is at this time that I give my ratings. And the way I do my ratings is on a scale of 1 to 10, and I will do the same thing later when we're done with articulation. So let's go ahead and give that rating. I'm going to give this guy a solid 7.9 out of 10. This is a very awesome looking Cyborg figure, and I cannot wait to add him to my Titan shelf. Let's go ahead and move on to articulation. Let's take a look at that articulation. Starting with the head, side to side. Pretty decent motion going on there. That's as far down as he can look. That's as far back as you can get his head, which actually is pretty good. The head can do a 360. The shoulders, even with the shoulder pads, appear to have pretty good range of motion. Basically a full spread there, so that's nice. This figure does have double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. His ankles are on a ball joint, so that's nice. He does come with toe articulation. My figure here, his toe articulation, at least on this foot, is pretty loose. Pretty sturdy, but good range of motion in the knees. His torso articulation here, a little bit limited, but still fairly decent. The legs, that's as far as you can get him, so he cannot do a full split. The wrists, pretty good mobility there. Good range of motion. Okay. Now that we have him standing back in front of us, let's go ahead and give him a rating on his articulation. I'm going to give him a 6.7 out of 10. His mobility was pretty good, but there were some things that I think could have been done just a little bit better. But all in all, I think 6.8 is a pretty fair rating for the articulation on this figure. Let's go ahead and get him in a different pose, maybe add his accessory to him. As we're getting a final 360 view of the figure, I was able to get him into this really cool pose off camera with his blaster on his arm. It's pretty epic looking. But let's talk about whether or not you should pick this figure up for your collection. If you are a Titans fan and you have been longing for a really good representation of the Cyborg figure, and the first two that they released, the movie accurate one and the Build-A-Figure just didn't do it for you, then I guarantee you this one will finally scratch that itch. So, with that being said, I give it 100% yes, you should pick this figure up. I only found 2 at my local Walmart, so they seem to be in short supply. So if you come across one, don't be afraid to pick it up. If you're not a Titan fan or care too much for the Cyborg figure, then I guess you can go ahead and pass on it. But you snooze, you lose. I think this figure is absolutely awesome. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be here as we did the review on this Cyborg figure. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Until next time, never stop collecting.